Hi guys, and welcome to day 5 of our Women's Health Business Blueprint Challenge, where every day this week we've been working on a little bit of your business. And today we're going to be diving into my 5-step process for setting up your business. So I really want to make this as simple as possible because I wish I knew this in my first year versus thinking that I had to do all of the things. So each of these things can certainly take a little bit of time to set up, but you can do them in less than 30 days. So I wanted to be able to dive in and walk you through all of them. And then if any of this is like, man, I'm really going to need more support on all of this, I am going to be walking you through this even deeper in the Women's Health Business Accelerator program, which starts on August 3rd. That's in less than 2 weeks. And we're going to be learning and mastering women's health and then how to actually start your business. And we're going to be talking about how to really flesh out these systems so that you're really good to go. So the first one is to have a simple website. So your website nowadays has become like your resume. So you want women to be able to land on your resume, and let's just think of your website, to then be able to articulate what you do and who you are, because that is a huge piece of communication that your ideal clients need. So you can set this up very simply. So don't think you need to have like all of these pages. It needs to take you a ton of time. There's so many resources out there now to make simple websites, so you don't need like tech design. I have designed all my own websites. So I've never actually hired someone to do my website. So guys, like, you can totally do this. I feel like if I can do it, I'm very non-techie, anybody can do it. So on your website, you want your home page. And make sure to take this notes, like just write down these 5 steps. So you want your home page. We can certainly have about you on there instead of having a separate page. You can put it all there. And you want to be able to articulate who you are, what you do, who you serve. You want to be very clear in your communication, because this is going to drive the women that you attract and whether or not they're buying from you. Our communication is really key, especially in the online place. If you have professional photos that you've done, this is a great place to use them. If not, we're also going to be going over in the Accelerator program how to actually be taking your own photos off your iPhone. I've actually taken a course on iPhone photography because I was like, it's not realistic for me to have a professional photographer all the time. How can I actually take decent photos that you can actually use on your Instagram or on your website? So I will be sharing some of those hacks with you too. Online platforms are very visual, so you do want very bright, clear images. You don't want anything dark. Maybe you have a friend who's into photography, like definitely getting some good pictures is going to be helpful. And so on your homepage, just keep it very basic and simple depending on where you are right now. And then have a work with me tab. You want to be able to, for people to understand this is what you do. This is a business for you. You do have a financial exchange for your services or for your products, depending on how you want to set this up. If you have products, you're probably going to be having a different page that showcases those products. You can connect it with Shopify if you have like physical products, which could be a really good tool if you've never looked into that. It's also pretty cheap monthly. I actually use it, and it's only like $9 a month for the basic version. So there's definitely a lot of options that you can play with. But if you're going to be offering services, because I know we have a lot of like trainers and coaches coming into this space, have a work with me page and just simply state, how can people work with you? How can they, like, what is the process that you're going to take them on to then secure them as a client? Usually when we get started as coaches, we start on one-on-one because it's a great way to get to know our audience, get to know what women want and need, and then getting those testimonials too. So this is just a snapshot if you were going to be going down this route. We can certainly talk about if you're having other systems set up, and that's really what we're going to dive into in the Accelerator program, because you can be doing online courses, you can have downloadable guides, but each one of those pages is going to be a little bit different, and then each one of them has to connect with a delivery system to deliver the products that you're basically offering. So at least on one-on-one, they get on the call with you, so you need to be able to connect a calendar or emailing you. I highly recommend linking a calendar, because then you basically, when you're setting up these kinds of calls, you want the least barrier of resistance. You don't want them taking so many steps, because they're likely to fall off and just like overthink it and just talk themselves out of it. So you really don't want many steps involved. So you guys can certainly look at my website. So it's balancebombshells.com, and I have a work with me tab, and it's very clear of like who you are, where you're going, links to my calendar. If you have questions, how to get in touch and just send them to me. Super basic. Like when you go to look at it, like there's not much on there. So having that tab and making sure you have a system for how you want to actually be able to communicate with them and book those calls. So that is on your website. And then that can certainly just be those 2 pages right now. If you have like a social media platform, I really highly recommend linking it from your website, because you want people to be able to follow you online too, because that's where they're going to be engaging a lot with you. So having those resources, like they're going to naturally want to do that anyway, especially if they resonate with your work. If you want to start a blog, you can absolutely have that, because that is, at least on a website from a simplistic standpoint, it does build your brand and it does educate women on the topics that you cover. And even just blogging like once a week. I mean, I still do that, guys, even 4 years in. I don't blog like all the time. And like, that's okay. I have a lot of other stuff going on in business. And it's just a system that I've been able to keep up with. If you like blogging multiple times a week and you have the time for that, absolutely do so. But just really creating a very simplistic website. So that's step number 1. Number 2 is pick one social media platform to use first. This can be Facebook, this can be Instagram, this can be YouTube, this can be Pinterest. I don't use Snapchat, so I don't know how to like talk about that. Twitter, I would recommend not, just because you want to be able to have more of a conversation and you can't post as like a long caption on there, especially if you're going to be educating women on like who you are and telling stories and, you know, providing resources and wanting to do like videos. Instagram and Facebook are really good for that. Or if you're blogging, you might want to use Pinterest because you might be able to drive traffic. So basically you want to use a social media platform that fits with your strengths and helps you drive traffic to what you want to drive traffic to. It's not just about posting online and that's it. like we're going to be going through all this in the Accelerator program too. Like our social media platforms are a great way to help drive traffic and engage and like get to know our people and like connect with them. So you do want to at least pick one to start with. I don't recommend doing all 4 at once. I feel like that you will be overwhelmed. You will burn out very quickly. You will drop off on multiple ones like at a time. LinkedIn is another one, depending on who your audience is. I work a lot with like women who are rising in their career and a lot of female entrepreneurs. So I do try to have a presence on LinkedIn. Can't say I'm the best at it. That is like my weakest link in terms of my social media channels. I'm like, it's cool. I can admit that. But just focusing on one social media platform and then link that on your website so people know where to also be going. Then the third step is to set up your email management. So if you remember from one of the other videos that I've done this week, you don't own the followers and the content that you have on social media. The platforms own that. And if they happen to, for whatever reason, go out of business, be bought by somebody else and restructure, change the landscape of things, you don't own that. You don't own it, even though like it's they're following you and it's your content that you're posting, you actually don't own it. But on your email list, you own it. You own your website and you own your email list. So you want to be able to have an email management system set up, because this is going to be where women sign up for your programs. This is where women sign up for freebies. And you're able to cultivate and communicate with them and really build a deeper relationship, which means they're going to be more likely to buy from you when you're selling and being able to connect with them. So you really do want an email management system. So we're going to talk about a lot of that too in the Accelerator program of like, I'm going to tell you which one I used, which ones I got started with and then ended up changing over. So you can certainly learn based on certainly what I do. I'm going to share all of that with you. But just setting up a system so that you can capture those leads. Like you want to be able to get their email address because you're going to be able to regularly communicate with them. Which leads us into number 4, which is having a freebie. So if you guys have probably seen this online where you sign up for a freebie for someone where basically they're going to give you a piece of communication and content to dive into and in exchange for their email address. So that is going to go into your email system and you're going to be able to then deliver that content to her in exchange for her giving you your email address. So think of a freebie offer, and this can be very simple and basic. We're going to go over this in the Accelerator program too, of like how to actually come up with your first freebie and what would feel like really good for you, especially if you're going to be doing an online business. I know that's what a lot of women are gravitating to, especially with the way our world is right now. So coming up with a freebie offer, if you go on my website, you can see on each of my explore pages, it starts with like a freebie that women can download. So I have set things up based on where women are at in various parts of their journey and based on what they're struggling with. And I came up with those based on what I was noticing that she needed and something that would be really simple and easy for me to create. A freebie shouldn't take you that much time. It should feel really easy to put together. So I have a ton of them now set up, but just when I first got started, I focused on one. And the freebie that I offered was a PMS guide, and it was like how to get over PMS as a great like segue into learning about our hormones. So think of something that's really related to your brand, something that she thinks about, something that she'd really like to solve her problem. And you want to be really generous in the information that you give, because this is one of your first like touch points that she's going to be able to see what you do. And you really want to be able to show her like, hey, this is what I'm all about. Like, this is what this community is about. Like, you know, I hope you fit in here, like, and all of that. So the freebie will connect with your email provider. And then number 5 for setting up your like basic business is your signature offer. So if you remember from, I think it was one of our first videos where I was having you write down your like, how did you get from point A to point B in the problem that you solved? This is going to turn into your signature offer. It's going to turn into your system of how you help women with what problem you're helping them solve. So you do want to write down the specific steps, because it's going to turn into the steps that you take women on that same journey. So if you did that work, great. If you have not, that's totally fine. You obviously still have time to do that. In the Business Accelerator program, we're also going to be diving into creating your signature offer and fleshing that out, really getting you like tightened up on what that is. Because when you get someone on a discovery call, you want to know what journey you're taking them on. You don't want to just be like, yeah, we're going to figure it out. She's not going to buy. She's going to run for the hills. She doesn't want someone who's going to like figure it out. She wants you to have like a very clear structure. Obviously, there's wiggle room and you flow based on what her personal body is like and her preferences, but you're going to have a very specific structure of what really worked to get you from point A to point B. And that's what she's buying. So your signature offer, we're going to be packaging it for you. We're going to be putting it together so you feel really comfortable with it. And then there's going to be so many different layers to your signature offer. So when I first did this, I set up my system, and then I turned it into the Balance Bombshells Lifestyle Plan, which is the 8-week online course that I have women take to go through their hormones. So I set it up as an automated, because I was like, it's unrealistic for me to just do one-on-one coaching. I want to be able to help other women who just want to learn their hormones and either don't have the finances to be able to invest in one-on-one or don't want to. Like, that's totally cool too. Not everybody likes one-on-one. But that's the course that I'm going to be taking you through, because it's very much the foundation of a woman's health. So regardless of what your niche is, whether you're teaching fitness, whether you're teaching a specific hormone condition, whether you're teaching fertility and like cycle related stuff, this is the foundation. And even like pregnancy wise, like this can work. There's obviously a lot of things in there that you might not be able to use for pregnancy. We can have to talk about that if that's your niche. But in terms of like an everyday woman who's not necessarily on that path, there's such a good foundation that you're going to be able to use. And I'm going to be giving all of that information to you inside this program. So it starts on August 3rd. If you haven't signed up yet, there's a link below. We're going to be going and fleshing through all of these steps. So you can certainly take these and put them into action in the next 30 days. Or if you're like, I need more help, I know that there's a lot that can go on behind the scenes. Like, how do you actually like really structure this stuff versus having to learn on your own? That's what this course is for. We're first going to spend the first 8 weeks going over women's health and really having you master that. And then the second 8 weeks is really setting up your business so that you feel really solid to open your doors, to expand if that's what you've been wanting to do. I'm going to teach you how to be finding your first clients, especially from the online platform. I have actually only had one client in the local area that I've lived in. They've all been virtual, like, outside of my geographic location. So it just is really exciting what the online community can provide for you in terms of being able to help women who don't necessarily live in your geographic location. So we're going to be going through all of that. And if you have questions about the program, there's a link below where you're going to be able to see all the modules and all the content that you're going to get and that we're going to work through. We're going to be coming up with so many different systems and structures for you so that your business feels easy. You're no longer confused on how to put all of this stuff together. I know how overwhelming it is, but you also get to do it in a group program where you get to work with women who are exactly where you're at too. So you're not alone in this, and you're also able to like share your wins, share your struggles. I mean, that is part of the journey. We need to have space to be able to talk about those things as they're coming up in our work. Just having other women to lean on, especially who aren't in your everyday life. Like my friends and my family didn't understand. I still cannot have these types of conversations with them in terms of like running a business. Their eyes glass over. They don't care. They don't want to talk about it, and that's cool. But I need those people that I can talk about it with. So that's what you're going to be building here as well. Like not only are you going to be learning all the stuff for you, but you get to build those relationships with other women who also understand. I've been so excited about this course. It's been a long time coming that I've been wanting to put something like this together, because when I first got started, I had a really hard time connecting with other health coaches because they didn't understand hormones and they didn't understand women's health. So I'm really excited to be able to bring so many of you together where you guys get to connect and actually know that like, you're not weird. Like what you're doing is really beautiful. And it's so life-changing that you might have other health professionals come in and take your courses and maybe want to train from you because they don't understand this stuff. It's not taught in a lot of the health coaching certifications. There's not a lot of information out there on learning hormones. And it can be very confusing. So that's why I'm so excited to be able to bring all of us together, because it's so fun to be able to talk about. We want to talk about this stuff all the time, but we don't always have that outlet. And then just to be able to help you with your business and fleshing things out where you're feeling resistance and you're just like, oh, I'm feeling stuck here, or like I feel like I need to do more. And it's like, no, like we're going to just calm everything down so it feels so good with what you're doing every single day. And then you're going to master everything you're doing, and that's when you start building. So I've noticed a lot of women will just be like, oh, I need to do all of these things, and we think we have to do them all at once, and it's like that doesn't work. That leads us into burnout. And if we're teaching women's health, we can't burn ourselves out. Like that doesn't serve us, nor does it serve the business or the women that you work with. So I really want you feeling good about everything that you're doing. So this was the 5-step business setup. So you want a simple website. You want to have your, I want to make sure that I'm giving you the right flow. Your social media platform, so just choosing one. Your email management, your freebie, and your signature offer for when you're taking clients. So you really want to be able to take these women on a really beautiful journey of what it's like to work with you and what that looks like. So we're going to be talking about all of this stuff. We're going to be diving even deeper. We're going to be talking a lot about your communication and fleshing things out so that when women land on their stuff, they know it's for them. And if they don't, they leave and they don't stick around. We obviously want people to stay around and follow you forever, for as long as you do this work. So the link to sign up for the program is below. It's happening in less than 2 weeks is when we get started. If you have any questions about it, you can comment below, or you can email me at laura@balancebombshells.com. And I'm so excited to get started with you. Thank you so much for joining me on this challenge, and I will talk to you soon.